Well, howdy there, daylight burners. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys had a good week so far. This is the Friggin Farm and Ranch Report for Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. It is tax day. Thanks a lot, Woodrow Wilson. Yeah, dick. Um, anyway, we got record cattle. We got feeders catching fire again. What do we have here? Crude's back up after yesterday's breather. And I got a new studio. And if you watch this, I can move myself around the screen. It's kind of cool. Anyways, crude is back up after yesterday's breather. And now the blockade story just went from threat level midnight to fully enforced. We're going to hit the board, the beef, the burns in Nebraska, some Mexico border chatter, screwworm, diesel, grazing policy. What else we got? We got a little bit of a shorter war reel on what changed since yesterday. And today's call, bullish on cattle, making records. 75% confidence. Tight supply band still beats every bearish argument on the board. And the blockade got real. Crude bounced back, and the cattle didn't really flinch. Before we get into the show, though, I would like to find my. Here we go. Now we're in screen share mode here because we're talking about Lone Star Stockyards. They're in Wildorado, Texas. See how I can just pop in and out. I'm here, I'm there. You never know where I'm at. They just finished their sale up yesterday, 2 days ago if you're listening to this tomorrow, but on their Tuesday, April 14th sale, USDA reported 1,225 head. 5 to 7 weight heifers were 15 to 20 higher. Other classes were not well tested, but all classes sold strong. These guys are really good people. If you got cattle to move and you want to park a market that still believes in discovery instead of excuses, go check out Lone Star Stockyards. They're good cattle. They got real buyers and a barn that understands you don't stay in business by wasting producers' time. So whether you're moving calves, yearlings, or weighing options on bred stock, Lone Star Stockyards is where the price gets found and checks get earned. So go check them out. You can give them a holler over there. Office number is 806-677-0777. You can call Bill Martin. He's the owner over there, 970-302-5834. And then Sheldon Field is the yard manager, 806-736-0040. Go give them a holler. Check them out at their Tuesday sale. You can watch live, or better yet, just go in, grab a taco up from the food truck there, and watch the cattle sale. Maybe bid on a few yourself. Get frisky. Do it. You've earned it. But let them know you heard about it on the Friggin Farm and Ranch Report on the Burnin Daylight Network. We also, up in north central Nebraska, we got the old reliable Atkinson Livestock Market. They're new to the show, but they're our friends already. They flat know the cattle business. They move volume, they bring the buyers, and they're built on the kind of reputation you only get by doing it right over and over. So if you're in the Sandhill country, they're off of Highway 20, I believe. I gotta see my email. Highway 20, I'm pretty sure. There we are. Yep. North central Nebraska up there in the Sandhills country. If you're anywhere close to Highway 20, head over to the old reliable. Give them a holler at the office, 402-925-51. Is that what it is? Yeah, I think so. That's what I got over on my other one, 402-925-5141. You can call Wes. He's the manager over there, 402-340-4225. And Austin Jarecki, the yard manager, 402-340-8450. It's Atkinson Livestock Market. I'm sure glad to have him on the show. Go give them a look-see. All right, back into livestock snapshot. So go to the board, April live cattle. I'm going to move myself out of the way here. Look at that. Man, that is cool. Let's go to the board. April live cattle settled Tuesday at 252 and 55 cents. 252.55, up $1.90 from Monday. And another fresh all-time high. Midday Wednesday, they were the front end was only off about 45 to 90 cents, which tells you that this thing has no fear in it. June live cattle sitting around 249.20, about $2 higher, and still bumping up against that contract high of 249.95. Cash cattle were quiet, but the Fed Cattle Exchange kind of told you all you needed to know. There was 0 sales on 1,222 head, with bids at 246 to 248, and nobody was willing to let them go. So it's not a bearish signal at all. That is your show list guys saying, come back with a bigger pile of money. The feeders were the headlines today. On Wednesday, they're up $2, up $2.50 to $4.15, depending on the contract. The feeder index was 375.02 on April 13th, up 108, and still only 275 off the all-time high. So we got tight calves supply. We got tight placements, and nobody's really tripping over themselves to sell anything at the moment. Hogs and corn fed competition and outside noises are all still secondary to the one fact that the cow herd is historically low, and the feeder pipeline is thin because of that. All right. On the beef, where do I got to go? Boom, right here in the middle. Bam. Choice box beef was at 382.02 and the select at 379.23. So for the first time in 5 days, the choice select spread is back on the positive side at 279. Friday, that spread was inverted at negative 44 cents, and earlier it was even uglier than that. So the inversion that I've been talking about has been corrected, at least for now. It wasn't just me talking about it, but on this show, I'm the only one talking, so shut up. That tells me that some of the lean trim panic is easing, and the beef complex is trying to act a little bit more normal. Tuesday's slaughter was 112,000 head. With the weekly slaughter go through Thursday is 216,000 head, down 17,500 from the comparable stretch. Smaller kill, smaller herd, and the Packers are still fighting for leverage. So it's same song, just a lot more drums involved. It's getting louder. It's like it's just that crazy Yoko Ono song where she was like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah," and Chuck Berry was like, "You get your bitch on a leash." This is wild, but that's kind of what it's like. But then they just add drums into it, so the vocals have to scream louder. That's kind of what the cattle market seems like. I'm no expert, by the way. I'm reporting what I read, what I see, and try to make sense of it. I don't know if I am. You'll have to tell me. All right. On the grains and energy side, May corn is at 443, which is up 2 3/4 cents. Cash corn's around 405, which is still below that 450 feeder panic threshold I kept talking about yesterday. Chicago wheat after Tuesday's 8%. 8% face ripper is still holding a continuation bid of around 586. Excuse me. Soybeans around 1166, still sagging under the Brazilian 180 million metric ton wall of soybeans. So your feed picture is not real friendly, but it's not full blown panic in corn. Wheat is riding the war market, and beans are just all over the place worldwide. Oh, look at that. Fit over here in the corner now. Boom, as I'm about ready to move on to the next slide. But look at that. Look how neat that is. Boom. This slide was out of place. So on cattle and beef side of things, where is that slide at? I don't know where it went to. I talked about the spread. Anyway, we'll go back up here. Boom. I can't move this one around, but the other ones I can. So the real cattle story is the board printed another record. The cash isn't really moving because sellers don't have to. And box beef inversion finally stopped looking like a carnival, the wacky mirrors at the carnival. That's a bullish market, but it's not an easy money bullish market. It's very much a don't screw it up market. So if you got leverage, you got to use it carefully, and if you got grass, you got to protect it. And if you got calves, keep them sons of bitches alive, because every input decision matters now because the value of that animal is higher than ever. So now layer in your domestic stories. That's where my slide is. That's back at Atkinson Livestock. I'm still getting used to my new setup here, guys. Still getting used to it. All right, and guess what? I'm going to shrink myself down so you can see this better. Boom! Look at that. Wow. All right. So the Nebraska wildfires burned more than 800,000 acres and displaced over 40,000 head. Ranchers out there are saying that some of the country may not carry cattle this year, and herd rebuild in that particular region just got kicked back at least another year. At a 75-year low cow herd, losing time in the sandhills is not some local sob story, because there's a big part of the national supply story. The board might be in Chicago, but the supply starts where there's dirt and sometimes grass, and never enough rain unless it's too much. But out somewhere outside of the spreadsheets, there are cattle grown, and that's what we're looking at here. And Nebraska got real tough to grow cattle in that part of the world this year, at least for this year anyhow. So then there's the Mexico border opening angle. USDA is signaling it is evaluating a phased reopening for feeder cattle, with the Douglas, Arizona, looking like the first logical crack in the wall, and the big beautiful wall. Um, Douglas, Arizona. I've never been there, but I am familiar with that town quite a bit. I've received a shit pot load of cattle from Douglas, Arizona, and Santa Teresa, New Mexico, hauling Mexican cattle up to Smith Valley cattle feeders in beautiful Smith Valley, Nevada. I can say that out loud there. I don't work there anymore now, so I can say it out loud. All right, so that may ease a little bit of pressure on supply. Not right away, because if you've seen many of the Mexican steers coming up, they're feeder steers, but then they're also on quarantine at the border for a couple of weeks, and then they're on a long truck ride, or at least the ones I dealt with, to Smith Valley, Nevada, and they're a little wrung out by the time they get there. They're not real heavy coming across, anyways, and then they shrink up pretty good because it's a quarantine lot, not a finishing lot. So they keep them alive, keep them healthy ish. And then once they clear quarantine, on they go. So it's going to be a minute before any of those little bastards are going to make a stake. So it's good in the meantime, especially if you got grass, because usually it's people got cattle and no grass, which is pretty good chunk of the Nebraska sandhills right now. But I think a lot of places out in California where they got a lot of grass, great, excellent cattle country, probably looking for some cattle, because a lot of people sold off over the drought, and it'd be good. It'd be good for like the Flint Hills of Kansas, typical places that run Mexican steers. But don't kid yourself. It's the one port opening is not going to suddenly flood the market with calves or mama cows to replace calves. It's I heard this tight. It's a margin story more than anything, and definitely not a trend changing story. At least not at the moment. Okay, so on the energy and input side, energy matters because war premium is back in the barrel. Um, Brent is back up. The Brent crude oil exchange is back up around $100 a barrel after yesterday's pullback down to about 95. West Texas has dipped a little bit into the upper 80s, low 90s, and the national diesel average is 562. And just 20 cents off the all-time record of 582. The EIA said that diesel could peak above 580 this month. So yeah, this week could set another diesel record if the Hormuz keeps Hormuzing or doesn't Hormuz enough, depending on how you look at it. I don't know. I've been talking about it a lot, so don't get fooled. I'm not an expert Hormuzer, so keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind, that the people you may suspect to be an expert Hormuzer may in fact not be. And I, in fact, am not one, but I'll talk a good game, okay? Fertilizer and freight are still riding shotgun with oil. We already covered the urea and DAP spike earlier this week, and that story hasn't been invalidated at all by the one-day crude pullback. So if the energy stays hot and the shipping lanes are under threat, your costs to run cows, to plant feed, to move hay, to haul cattle, to do anything at all is going to stay elevated. Elevated AF, most likely. Record cattle prices make a man feel rich right up until the diesel, and then the note payments, and then your mineral tubs, and new pair of boots, and well, then that saddle that you need to replace. Well, patch it up again. Sorry, old Bucky. We're gonna have to ride this one another year because didn't those high dollar calves didn't bring as much as I thought they were going to. They brought all the money, but they cost all the money too. Rates still matter too. It's not a market to finance in a sloppy kind of way. Never is, but especially not now. High animal values and high operating costs means that the interest expense can quietly eat the best market that you've seen in many years. All right, now we got to backtrack to the war reel and move myself over here. Pull myself up a little bit. There you go. All right, we'll keep this one tight because we covered a lot over earlier days this week, and this is an ag show, but this all does relate back to ag, and particularly because we'll have some boys and girls that will be directly involved should this thing get even more hot than it is. But a lot of ag inputs come from that part of the world. So here is what has changed. The blockade is now being described as fully enforced. That means that the market is no longer pricing a threat; it's pricing an active choke point. And Iran is now threatening the Red Sea and the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf if this keeps going, which is exactly how you turn a regional fight into a global freight and fuel issue. Crude has already heard that message loud and clear, brother. Tuesday's breather is over. Brent climbed back up towards $100. And Pakistan's army chief showed up in Tehran trying to restart talks. Pakistan's probably getting pretty nervous from what I understand. They import like almost all their oil from the Persian Gulf area, not necessarily Iran. I think they might be I think they might not be friendly. I'm pretty sure Pakistan is Sunni Islam, and Iran is majority Shia. All right, so that tells you that even the regional players know that this is starting to flirt with a much bigger mess. Italy broke with Israel over their peacekeepers getting shot at. So there was some Italian troops on a UN peacekeeping mission in Lebanon that were fired upon by the IDF. So Marconi, I think it's Maloney, the prime minister of Italy, was not happy, and so they're a NATO member. Turkey has been in the news a bunch about being the next target of Israel. This was from somebody in the Israel. I can't remember if they're in the government or like a lobby. I'm pretty sure there's somebody in the government though. I was talking about how Turkey's the next one. Well, Turkey's a NATO member, so a treaty-bound ally with us, and so is Israel. I'm sure there's a treaty that we've signed with Israel. There's probably a whole bunch of them, but so now you got conflicting treaties, and you got to pick a side because that's what you got to do. You got to pick a side. And it's starting to look a lot more like World War One again. I know I've rehashed some of these history rhyme scenarios, but we'll get that more of that some other time. But the coalition picture is getting shakier at the same time. The battlefield picture is getting hotter. Iran still has missiles somewhere. I thought we got them all, but apparently they got a few left over. Anyway, what all this means for ag is that diesel risk stays elevated, fertilizer stays vulnerable, shipping costs stay stupid, and the disruption in major lanes feeds straight into the input side of your business, and that's why that's the tieback, and that's why your ranchers should care if you don't. But I imagine most of you do, and then also, again, we got a lot of friends and family that have the potential to be directly involved if they're not already. So I don't know of anybody personally that is that has taken part in any of these ongoing campaigns. Not that I would know necessarily anyhow, but I'm not aware of anybody that I know personally. But plenty of them are out there, and so say a prayer for them, keep them safe, and let's get this thing wrapped up. However, it's going to be, let's get it done. On the policy and range side of things, so the USDA and so this one I'm covering up the drought because nobody wants to hear about drought. USDA and Interior are pushing the grazing access and permit streamlining message harder all the time. That's what she said. And BLM now has a vacant allotment tool. They say opens up around 24 million acres for ranchers to take a look at. So if you run cows on federal ground, that is one of the few stories out of Washington here lately that sounds like it was written by somebody who's actually got some cow shit onto their boots at least once or twice in their life. Virtual fencing is also gaining ground too. It's also too that was redundant. Virtual fencing is gaining ground too, especially on public land. GPS collars, fewer physical fence projects, better control around water and campgrounds and riparian areas, and poisonous plants. That I'm not sure if I buy that whole deal by my AI script, poisonous plants. Unless you've got like just large bunches of poisonous plants and one's like centrally located, I guess you could fence those off with your virtual fence. But I think those you would also just maybe get rid of the weeds if they're already contained, like get rid of them. I don't know. That one seems dumb. But big question is whether this actually becomes a real operational tool or just another just another cog in the precision agriculture machine, where they're just throwing everything at the wall. And I've fairly knowledgeable on these collars. I've never dealt with them, but that's about the only way I would know more than what I know right now is to be hired by one of those or to buy collars myself. And I'm not hired by one of them, and I'm not going to buy one because I don't have anything to put it on. So there's that. All right, and then the 2026 grazing fee is getting bumped up from 159 to 169 per animal unit month, or AUM. Still very cheap compared to private rates, but it's a political punching bag and worth keeping an eye on. The screwworms remain a real big problem. The latest update shows that 54 active cases in Tamaulipas and in Nuevo Leon, and 1,255 active cases across the 22 Mexican states collectively. The closest active case is about 150 miles from Texas. But spring temperatures are rising and migration risk rises with them. And that sterile fly facility in South Texas can't get online fast enough. So the weather's not done either. The 15 tornadoes were confirmed Sunday across the upper Midwest and Central Plains. And more severe weather risk hangs over Dallas, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, and Des Moines all through the week. Drought still covers. We'll cover up the screwworm now because nobody wants to talk about that, and we'll talk about the drought, even though I don't want to. But 50.18% of the lower 48 states, with though parts of the plains and the Midwest caught enough rain to improve the map sun. That is good. But and it was needed, but it's not enough. A lot of the Southwest and a big chunk of the West still very much in need of a big, heavy drink. All right. On this day in history, 1874, April 15th, 1874, George Harrison Shull was born. He is the father of hybrid corn. So every bushel of corn that you're buying today owes something to that man's work. And if you want a little ancient world flavor, April 15th in ancient Rome was tied to the Fordicidea festival, which celebrated crops, fertility, and cattle, and all the old reminders that this business has always been about life and risk and timing. So that's all I got for you on your Wednesday. We got record cattle prices. We got feeders still climbing. Box beef back to a positive spread. Oil's back up around $100 a barrel. Diesel's breathing down the all-time high. Nebraska got burned up. Screwworms are all over Mexico. Border reopening talk is getting louder, and the BLM says there's federal ground available if you can navigate the paperwork. There's never been a harder time to run cattle, and never been a better time to get paid for it. So that means you can't get careless. It means you got to protect your margin, know your risk, and then you don't let a good board trick you into any stupid decisions. If you got any questions, concerns for me, send them over my way. It's matt@burnin-daylight.com. Send me an email or send me a DM on any of the social media outlets. But please go subscribe to burnindaylight.substack.com. Check out the links to the app. If you can't find them, shoot me a message and I'll get them to you. But go check them out, play around with them, take them for a drive, see what you think. Let me know. Now move your ass. We're burning daylight.